Hey y'all, this is the People's Finder podcast by Mera Berimo. Illuminate that which is hidden within you.
Hey, my loves, welcome back to the People's Finder podcast, season 2, episode 6. We are halfway of the episode, and I'm so happy to be halfway, honestly. Today's episode, I'll be talking about worrying. But before we start, I just want to talk about the things that have been happening this week. First of all, the weather is so confusing to me because earlier this week it was so cold and I was loving it. And then now it's hot and I'm just not understanding the weather. The reason why I like the cold weather is because of my outfits. I think I've invested so much in my cold weather outfits than my warm weather outfits. Like my cold weather outfit, I have like cute trench coats, like very cute sweaters and jumpers, but I've not worn them in so long. They're in my closet. So when it was getting cold and it was raining a little bit, I was like, oh, finally I can wear my like trench coats. But then it shifted again. We love the sun too. Something else that has been happening this week is I'm just like frustrated with what happened in the news about the guy who was thrown out of the matatu because of 30 mob. It hurts so much. Like, why would you do that to somebody else? And I just hope justice will be served because this man was literally the breadwinner of his home. And 30 bob, literally 30 bob. Why could you just stop the matatu and let him alight? And also the driver, I mean the conductor ran away. The only person who is arrested is the driver. So, and I think the conductor needs to be found. And also the motorcade, the presidential motorcade that caused an accident and made someone die. Those are just situations in our country, political situations in our country that brings us back, honestly. But anyways, so what is worrying? When you hear worrying, what do you imagine? For me, I just imagine anxiety, I imagine sadness, I imagine worry. Okay, I'm using the same word to describe a word, but anyways. But worrying, it's something that causes anxiety about a potential problem. You see how I've said a potential problem? Because the problem is not there yet. So we make our brain worry. It's like a coping mechanism because of the outcome. We see like we always see negative outcomes. That's why we are like we worry so much because your mind is filled with the negative outcomes. And it is the fuel of anxiety. So we predict that things are going to happen badly for us by just thinking. And that causes worry. So that's the meaning of worrying. Worrying exists because you create it out of a situation, a potential situation, a situation that has even not happened. You look at the future and say, this might go wrong, so you worry so much. Worry does not prevent good things from happening or bad things from happening. If something was to happen good, it will happen. If something was to happen bad, it will happen. Your worry won't change the situation. So always remember that. People always say that if you stop to worry, then if you fail, that's your fault. It's not your fault. Like, why would you not be at peace? Like, choose peace forever. Because if you worry or not, things will happen the way it was meant to happen. I remember I was going to this interview last year. I went to the first interview. I wasn't worrying. I was so free. I did the exam. It was more practical. The first exam was practical. I passed. And I was like, wow, I passed. That's nice. I left. And then I was called to the second interview. And my mind started worrying so much because when I went there the first time, I saw the beauty of the place. And I really wanted that job. I was like, this place is beautiful. I already passed the first one. Like, this job, I have to get it. So I made myself that mentality that I have to get it. So I worried so much. I worried so much. So when I got there, I panicked. And I know that panic even made me just even fail the interview because I was worrying so much. And now I'm looking back and I'm like, why did I even worry? Like, whatever was meant for me found me, literally. Like, I'm in a better place. I'm not saying that was a bad place, it was like a very nice place, but everything happened for a reason. So worrying made things worse for me. It didn't make anything better for me. So I was listening to this podcast by Therapy Inertial on YouTube. She says that worrying is not something that happens to you, it's something that you create. Shocker, we create the worries that we have. It's not something that, oh, something comes and enters you and creates that for you. It's you. You create it in your brain. So let's try and change our mindsets. The reality is that worrying does not protect us in the way that we think it might. We cannot bear fear to the finish line. Worrying sensitizes us to an infinity of negative possible outcomes. It shifts our mindset to expect, seek out, and create a worst case scenario. If a crisis were to occur, we'd start panicking because our brains and bodies had been preparing for this epic war for a long time. That's what happened to me in the interview. I just went that day and started worrying because my brain has been preparing me for that. I've been preparing myself for that. So I'm going to read for you how to stop worrying and why we need to prevent worrying. Number one, this is the first three are for me. This is something that I've seen that has worked for me long term. Number one is just saying that God is on my side. Whatever is meant for me will find me. I know we've had this saying for a very long time, but this saying is so powerful. Whatever is meant for me will find me. If we know that, then we'll have an easier time just brushing things out that doesn't serve us. So stop worrying. The second one is journaling. I know I say this in every episode. When you write your worry down and then read it aloud, you'll find it to be like, oh, it's not even that big. Like, why am I worrying because of this? So always journal. Also, journaling really helps when you go back to your past journals and see that, oh, I passed these challenges. They weren't that bad. I got through them. So yeah, the third one is just have a good relationship with failing. I know people might misinterpret this, but having a good relationship with failing is just understanding that if I fail, then I'm not the worst person ever. Like, failing is normal. People do fail. You know, the best, most successful people, the most successful companies, they fail at first. So just understand that failing is normal to every human being. And it's not the end of the world when you do. The other tips on how to stop worrying, I got it from a book. And the first one is that imagine what is in the other side of the issue. Or imagine if it's happening to a third person. And I was like, yeah, that's really good. Because when you start imagining what will happen if I get it or not, even reshape your view and start seeing the positivity of it. The other issue of it, maybe I will have grown to be a better person even if it doesn't work out for me. The other side of the issue might be, you know what, it's a redirection in my life. Just see what is in the other side of the issue. Because when we live in the moment of worrying, there is a dark cloud covering us and we can't see the positivity out of it. Also, imagine if it's happening to a third party. As human beings, it's very easy for us to give advice to other people, like I'm doing. I know maybe tomorrow I'll be worrying about something and I'm here doing a podcast. But imagine you giving advice to somebody else. That will make it a little bit easy because if somebody comes and tells me, well, I'm worrying so much, what should I do? It will be easy for me to give them advice. I will tell them, let's go of the situation, blah, 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 blah. But if it's me, I won't see it. So imagine that you're giving advice to a third party. It becomes so much easier. Rather than spending your time rehearsing how much you'd panic if such and such a situation were to come to fruition, imagine how a third party would handle it if they were in your shoes. Imagine getting to the other side of the issue, perhaps even treating it as an opportunity to create something you otherwise couldn't. The other one is develop your self-esteem. Tell yourself, if I pass or fail, I'm still amazing. I'm still this loving person. I'm still me if I pass or fail. Rather than spending your time shrinking yourself and your life out of fear of potential confronting some kind of hardship, work on developing your self-esteem and know that even if you were to fail, you wouldn't be judged, you wouldn't be exiled or hated in the way that you fear. This is not like high school. Okay, fanya kitu mbaya, you're being beaten. No, nobody will touch you, even if you fail. So boost your self-esteem and just tell yourself that you're an amazing person no matter the outcome. Because not everything is our fault. Some things we just can't control. The last one is stabilize your wholeness and health. Know that you deserve peace. Rather than spending your life trying to identify the next thing to worry about and then overcome, learn to move into a new pattern of thinking in which you recognize that you don't need to balance out the bad with the good to live a full and fair life. Stability and wholeness, health and vitality are your birthrights. You are allowed to have everything you want. You are permitted to be at peace. Never trade anything for your peace, not even worry. That's the end of the episode. I hope you have learned something about worrying and maybe it has helped you more. And I know it's easier said than done. I think these are just things that you need to live in and practice the situation as it comes, know what to do in that situation. And yeah, it will get better. But it's not gonna be easy. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you feel as if you're in that situation, it won't get over. And I do understand. Remember to always be patient with yourself and know that you're not perfect and continue learning as you grow. Yeah. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. So
See you guys in the next episode. Bye.